U.S. Senator. In each case, the experts said he couldn't win, but he did win. Repeatedly, with broad support throughout Vermont from both Democrats, from Republicans, and independents alike. Why? For the same reasons that the Bernie storms have been described in the New York Times as become like a prairie fire stricken nation. That is reflected in the tens of thousands who have packed his rallies, not just in liberal places like Madison, Wisconsin, and Portland, Oregon, but in deep red states, locations like Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, and just a few days ago, he was in Greenell, North Carolina. It's reflected in the polls, now showing him leading by double digits in our neighboring state of New Hampshire, and then it's showing a surge in Iowa. And when you unpack all those polls, you begin to see the reason why. Among young voters from 18 to 29 in Iowa, Bernie leads by 52 points. In New Hampshire, Bernie's margin in the age group, the same age group, is now at 62 points. In the same state, 78% of Bernie's voters in New Hampshire and 63% of the voters in Iowa say enthusiastically they support him, and he has got the highest ratings of most candidates. And of note, which is I think something that needs to be said, a young African-American rapper now supports Bernie, Killer Mike, who noted Bernie's advocacy for voters' rights. And Little B tweeted, I quote, Bernie is not a paid-off politician who was bought off by some private companies. So why this momentum for Bernie? As he said on Meet the Press last Sunday, it is the issues that resonate across America. The grotesque, income and wealth inequality. That we are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee health care and family medical leave for every American. That millions of families are finding it so hard to send their children to college or to have decent child care. It is so exciting to see a candidate who has earned public trust for standing up and speaking on progressive positions, who is widely viewed as honest, effective, who does not need a poll to know where he stands or which side of the issue he is on. Who can boldly take the step of going to an audience of at Liberty University in Virginia, and not be afraid to say, I believe in women's rights, I believe in gay rights, and I believe in gay marriage. It is the excitement of the candidate that says this campaign is not about him, but it is about us. That the political revolution he so clearly embraced and represents is what we need to do. He's not afraid to challenge those on Wall Street and the corporate suites and their supporters in Congress who have eroded the standards of living for American workers and our families, who have corrupted our politics and our elections, who have transferred wealth from the working class to 1/10 of 1%, and have put the future of this planet in danger. It was for those reasons and more that I am so proud that our union, National Nurses United, became the first national union to endorse Bernie Sanders. As an organization that is 90% women, we love to break the glass ceiling. But for now, we want to break the class ceiling, which is primarily crushing women and people of color, as well as working men. It is Bernie Sanders who shares our values of caring, compassion, and communities to heal America. It is Bernie Sanders who shares our values by saying that health care is a right, and by continuing to champion single-payer health care, Medicare for all. Or as he put it simply to the audience of the students at Liberty University, there is no justice when thousands of Americans die every single year because they don't have health insurance and don't go to a doctor when they should. That is not justice. People should not be dying in the United States of sick.
Right.
Bernie shares our values when he speaks of the outrage that pharmaceutical companies can charge $1,000 for a single pill for hepatitis C, a disease that kills over 20,000 people a year in the United States alone. And he proposes legislation to rein in the price gouging by these drug companies.
Good. All right, Bernie.
Bernie Sanders shares our values by voting against disastrous trade deals of the past 20 years that have resulted in the loss of millions of good-paying American jobs. Bernie Sanders shares our values by actively opposing the proposed Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will give those same drug companies 12 more years of monopoly pricing protection that deprives people all over the world access to cheaper, life-saving drugs. A trade deal that goes even further. It allows giant corporations like the global tobacco and fossil fuel firms to sue governments, including ours, and receive compensation paid for by taxpayers for the loss of expected profits when public regulations limit their ability to kill people. Bernie Sanders shares our values by opposing the Keystone XL pipeline, a major threat to our families' future and puts the climate crisis on steroids, and which endangers the immediate health and safety of millions of Americans from the extraction, the transporting, and refining of dirty tar sand waters, which have been linked to cancer, lung and heart disease, birth defects, and a lot of other illnesses. Bernie Sanders shares our values by demanding that Wall Street and the hedge fund traders and bankers who craft our economy by gambling with our mortgages and retirement savings be held accountable and begin to pay their fair share.
That's right.
Bernie Sanders shares our values by actually introducing legislation that would tax Wall Street speculations, the Rockwood tax. Yes. This tax would raise billions of dollars every year to pay for free public college and university tuitions, for rebuilding our bridges, our roads, our airports, and our water systems, by creating millions of good-paying jobs and still have enough to pay for health care for everyone in this country, and also for taking real action against the climate crisis. Bernie Sanders still shares our values, calling for a political movement to end institutional racism in this country and fix our broken criminal justice system. And he reminds us we must not passively accept the deaths of African Americans in police shootings or violent police custody. That we must not continue to be the country that puts more people in prison and a disproportionate number of them people of color than any other country in the world. Who calls for the ending of privatization of prisons and makes the essential link that we must be a country that invests in jobs and education for all, not jails and incarceration. Bernie Sanders shares our values by not only supporting a strong labor movement and union rights to improve the lives of workers and raise living standards for all Americans, but who shows that commitment by walking on picket lines as he's done for many years. Yeah, and he has. Senator Sanders stands firmly for a vibrant, public, mass transit system in America, for workers' rights and against privatization schemes. And I'm going to take a second to just give a shout out to the Karens of the ATU, Local 589, who are fighting to stop the rollback of the Chico law and make an open season for privatization. So really, we thank them for the fight that they are having and know that Bernie was there to stand with them. Bernie Sanders shares our values by saying that it's not enough to call for overturning a disastrous Citizens United decision, but to go further and move the public funding of our elections to restore a vibrant democracy where all Americans who want to run 2012, of course, plummeted in the last year. Now, when you compare those turnouts to comparable democracies, as we see in Europe, the last parliamentary election brought out 66% of voters in Britain, 72% in Germany, 75% in Italy, and in the last presidential election in France it was 80%. If the U.S. translated that would mean millions and millions of more citizens voting. And we can do this. We can get people back to voting and be excited about an election by changing the direction. And how we do that? It's with a grassroots campaign. That's how we will win this. A grassroots campaign that offers the promise of uniting great social movements of this country for human rights, for women's rights, for LGBT rights, for civil rights, for the Black Lives Matter movement, for immigrant rights, for protecting seniors, for improving care to our veterans, and for a foreign policy in which war is the last resort, not the first. The reason for Bernie's momentum is because the American people fully understand corporate greed is destroying our economy, and that it is wrong and it is unacceptable that almost all of the wealth and income that is generated is going to the top 1%, while we have rising numbers of poverty and hunger in this country. That it is unacceptable that workers' productivity over the last 40 years has gone up 72%. Real wages have stagnated. That it is unacceptable that far too many Americans live with chronic insecurities over whether they will be able to afford to go to a doctor, whether they can pay for their child's education, whether they are falling behind on their rent or their mortgage, whether they can afford healthy food for their family, whether they have enough money to retire. As Bernie said in Iowa, that is not the economy the American people want, and they are profoundly disgusted by a campaign finance system dominated by big money interests spending hundreds of millions of dollars to elect candidates whose job it is to protect the wealthy and the powerful of this country. It is not acceptable anymore. Bernie Sanders challenges all of us to get involved in this as a political revolution, in a grassroots movement that can transform the direction of this country. A campaign that is about people standing up, fighting back, and saying loudly and clearly that this great country and our government belongs to all of us, and not just a handful of billionaires. And that if we stand together, and we get people out to vote, and we take on these issues, that yes, we can accomplish this. We can change the direction of this country. That's what the Bernie Sanders campaign is about. It's about us, the people. And that is why I hope that you will join us in making Bernie Sanders the next president of the United States. Thank you very much.